Okay, welcome to our call today with John and Lorianne for our brain power breakthroughs. And today I'm excited because John has something he wants to share with us. So I'm going to turn it straight over to John.
Cool. Well, how y'all doing out there? I'm glad you're listening in on us. Lorianne and I have been blessed to come together on this and work with this to help um, teens and young adults figure out life. Uh, that's a tough way of looking at it, isn't it?
But they're figuring it out.
But yes,
You're
and
just going to
and
give them some amazing things.
we hope that we are bringing value to the table for you, whether you are a young adult, a teenager, a young adult, or whether you are a parent of a teenager or young adult. Which I will tell you that my talk today, I think, is geared towards both. If you are a young adult, you're going to want to hear this because I think it'll correspond to some of the things you're feeling, and it may help you explain what's going on with you better. If you're the parent of a young adult, this may give you some insight as to why you're getting the responses from your young adult that you're getting. Um, the information I'm bringing to you today is from actually working with back a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, I created a company called Transforming Your 20s. It was a worldwide coaching platform that I was working with young adults one on one, coaching them and mentoring them one on one and helping them. It was really kind of geared towards helping them come out of the pandemic. I felt like they came out of it like they were lost in direction. Like they were really having a hard time finding their real true direction in life. And the one thing I know is when you don't have a secure direction in life, you lose your self-worth. And I was working with a number of young adults that were in that position. And so my talk today is on the word desire. Um, a desire or desires, however you want. I'll look at both sides of that coin. Okay. Just the word desire itself. Young adults don't necessarily have an issue with that word in and of itself. Because when you look at the word desire, just that word itself, it is a wish, it's a want. I want to desire this thing. And why would you want to desire it? I've heard someone state it this way: we desire something because we would be happy in the having of it. Okay. In other words, to have that desire would make us happy. And so that's one way of looking at that term. Now, the issue that comes into play with this is when that desire comes from someone else. In other words, it's not something that I am looking at that I desire. It is something that someone else desires for me or wants to help me fulfill that desire. And so, in working with these young adults in the last couple of years in regards to this is kind of what I found out about this. It's kind of funny in a weird kind of way because this age group does not think that they consider themselves control freaks. They don't. They don't consider themselves control freaks. I'm here to tell you maybe they are just a little. Maybe maybe a little more than they think they are. Okay? And here's why I say this, okay? Because when it comes to someone else bringing this desire to this young adult and wanting to help them fulfill that wish. There's a couple of things that happens in the young adult's minds when this thing happens. Okay. Two words get thrown into the mix. One of the words is accountability, and the other word is responsibility. Okay. So here's what happens. Let's say I am, and this is how this came about. I was working with a young adult. I was coaching this young adult. He came to me and asked me for help with his career. So I started working with him on regards to this. But what I found out all of a sudden was, because of some of the things that I brought to the table for him in regards to this desire, and now let me clarify this. This desire was something that he wanted. It wasn't something that I wanted for him that he didn't want. I asked him, would you like this? And he said yes. I asked him, would you like me to help you get this? And he said yes. So we started working together. So this wasn't a push on my part in the beginning. I asked him, left everything on the table, left it all up to him. Okay. So we started working together. And all of a sudden, I started seeing a pattern. And this is what I'm talking about, parents. This is what you need to look for. This pattern came up every time I asked him a question about, would you be willing to do this to help make this happen? His response came back in the form of, I don't know if I'm willing to do that, because then I'd be accountable for everything that would happen after that. I would be responsible for making this and this and this and this and this happen, and doing this and this and this and this and this. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be responsible for that. I don't want to be held accountable for all that. I just want to do what I want to do, and it'll leave everything else alone. I never said anything to this young man in any regards that said, okay, if we're willing to do this, I need you to do this and 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 this, and you will be responsible for this and this and this and this and this and this. None of that happened, Lorianne. None of it. But he thought it did. He brought this to the table thinking that's how this works. If he wants to desire something that someone else is going to help him achieve, then he's going to be responsible and accountable for all this other stuff. Even though, like I said, I never asked him for that. But he brought it. Now, what I thought was interesting was, when this happened, I initially thought, okay, well, rare occurrence, maybe just this one individual. So I, kind of let it go. We took a different direction on different coaching, and everything went great then. But I started working with another young adult, a female, in regards to a different desire. And Lorianne, the exact same thing happened.
Wow.
She came and said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to be held responsible for this. No, 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 I'm not putting that on me. That's overwhelming me. I don't want that.
Hmm.
I thought, okay. Number two, long story short, I worked with 12 different individuals at this time in regards to this issue. Every single one of them took the exact same approach. Now, I didn't lead into anything. In fact, the last 10 of them, I tried to steer as far from this.
I was gonna say, you
Oh,
probably
yeah.
have PTSD.
Oh, yeah. I was as far from this issue as I could get. Didn't matter. It did not matter.
Hmm.
They still brought that issue.
Wow.
So I reached out to a parent and I asked them, I said, have you ever done this with one of your kids? And he said, oh, yeah, yeah. I said, how'd it work out? And he said, it didn't. I said, did they have an issue with accountability and responsibility? He goes, oh, yeah, it blew up big time in that area. That wasn't even a client of mine. That was a friend of mine that had a teenage daughter. Same thing, exact same thing. So I started asking him questions. I said, where do you think your daughter was coming from when this happened? Where do you think this whole issue of accountability was coming from? Remember when I said earlier, they're kind of a little bit of control freaks? That's what he said. He said, I honestly believe it is because my daughter has always been a little bit of a control freak. And when I asked her about why is she bringing the accountability issue to the table with this, because I never said anything about that, her response was, because I didn't feel like I was going to be in control of it anymore.
Hmm.
I thought, interesting. Okay. So I went to work with one of my clients that I've worked with beforehand and had this issue. 21-year-old male was talking with his dad. Exact same response. His son told him, I felt like I was going to be held responsible. And if that's the case, then I don't have control of it over it anymore. So I don't want to do it.
Hmm.
You know, even though it was a desire that he did want, he would have liked to have had this. He didn't want to follow through with working with me to help him make it happen because he felt as though he would be accountable and responsible for it. Not me helping him through those, which is what I was planning on doing in the first place.
Right.
I mean, that's what a good coach does, is helps you through the issues that you face during the obstacles you face during those. And obstacles, most of the time, obstacles, accountability and responsibility are obstacles every young adult faces. Don't get me wrong here. Every young adult faces those obstacles.
Yeah.
But as coaches and mentors, that's our job, is to help you get past those,
Right.
help you overcome those. And hopefully a lot easier than we did, when we went through them,
Right. Right. You're fast forwarding through the process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So what was the one or two things that you found that you were able to help them through that process?
The
Just
biggest, the
recognizing that.
the biggest one was that. And
Okay.
I will tell you, the biggest terminology was the accountability one.
Mm,
Not so much responsibility, although that was thrown in a lot,
right.
but pretty much every time it was based on their issue with being held accountable. They did not want to be held accountable.
Mhm.
They wanted to deal with it when they wanted to deal with it on their terms, using their own thoughts. Here's a good one for you, Lorianne. They didn't want my feedback
I was going to
because
ask about that.
they didn't want my feedback because they thought my feedback was going to include something that was going to make them do something they didn't want to do.
Mhm.
That's that accountability issue. And they didn't want to face that. So, parents, when you're dealing with your young adult in regards to a desire that they have or a desire that you have for them, keep this in mind. If they say anything about accountability, I promise you their next step is going to be to turn and run as fast as they can away from you. Okay. Now, don't take this wrong. This is nothing personal toward you. You did nothing wrong. But it's their thoughts of losing control. And it's their thoughts of being held accountable for something they don't want to be held accountable for. Now, if they can make it through on their own and create that desire and make it happen without your help, without my help, they will run after that all day long. But that goes back to the first definition of desire that I talked about. A single desire that they want because they know that they would be happy in the having of it, just like you and I would be. You know,
So
I want this.
did you create something to help them, get excited about having that desire, or because you took them through several sessions, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that it took
And
several sessions.
I will tell you, I haven't created anything yet. I'm still in the process of this.
Right.
Um, most of the young adults I worked with back then at that time are still in limbo with this issue because they still have not.
It's not something that they want fixed. It's not like, I mean, I don't believe
Yeah.
that it is something to fix. I believe it's something deep inside that when you want something, when there's a will, there's a way.
Mhm.
They'll make it happen. But
But you and I understand that terminology.
yeah,
Where there's a will, there's a way.
yeah.
As an adult, we understand that terminology.
Okay.
As a young adult or as a teenager, they're not there yet.
Okay.
They're not there yet. They're not. Some of them even don't want to be there yet
Okay.
and will push against you. I mean, I've got 3 or 4 that I was trying to work with that I took the softest approach I could possibly come up with.
Mhm.
And a couple of them, I didn't even take an approach. I mean, literally, it was, I left the thought on the table. Some of them just aren't ready to go there. They're not ready to cross that bridge.
Yeah,
And I get it. I understand it. I mean,
it's scary for him.
it is. It is. And I will say that one of them was in regards to a relationship. And I know for a fact that right now, and I don't remember, a friend of mine sent me this a couple of weeks back. He Googled, what's the biggest issue facing teens these days? And according to Google, the biggest issue that teens and young adults are facing in today's society is personal relationships.
Oh,
Well, that's what I was working with this
yeah.
one young adult on. We're at a dead end. I get it. I get it.
Mhm.
But that's just that's the thing with this term desire. Okay. What I want parents of these young adults to understand with this is it depends on where that desire comes from as to whether I'd go chasing that with your young adult. If it is a desire that they bring to the table and say, hey, mom, or hey, dad, I was thinking about this. If it was their desire that they bring to the table and either ask for your assistance or ask for your guidance, or they may just ask a couple of questions for clarity. My strongest suggestion would be answer the questions for clarity and stop
Yeah.
and let them dictate how it goes forward from there. But I will promise you, huh?
I agree. I think we were probably going to say the same thing. They'll come
Yeah.
up with their own thing if you're, yeah,
Yeah, they will.
if you're listening intently, then they
Yeah.
are going to come up with their own. I mean, still ask questions while they're talking to you,
Yeah.
but listening, because they're going to figure it out while they're talking.
Yeah, they
I
will.
think that happens with most people. If
I
you
agree.
help somebody, that's why you hire coaches. That's why
Mhm.
people have hired us in the past to coach
Exactly.
them, is
Yes.
because you get to guide them through this conversation, because
Mhm.
everything we need, we already have inside of us.
Oh, yeah.
We know
Absolutely.
intuition inside of us, whatever you want to call it, it's there inside of us. We know what
Yes.
we want.
Yeah.
But, and even I have hired coaches through a
Mhm.
lot of
Oh,
different
yeah.
personal relationships, business relationships, like
Mhm.
all athletic things that I've wanted to accomplish.
Mhm.
So there is that component of that coach being able to guide you through and
Yeah.
listen. But a lot of times you have everything inside of you. It's just being
Mhm.
able to get it out.
Yeah. Very true. Very, very true. Yep. I heard somebody say once, why did Tiger Woods hire a coach? He's the best golfer on the planet. Why would he hire a coach? Because there's even times when Tiger needs help figuring something out, or he needs help with answering a question. And he'll be the first one to tell you that's why he hired a coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as a coach, we're there to help guide. We're there to answer the questions that you have. I always kind of look at it like this. I'm there to answer the questions that you're afraid to ask.
Right. What a great way to put it.
You know, I'm there to answer the questions that you're afraid to ask. Because if you're afraid to ask, you won't ever find the answer.
Yeah.
And I want you to have that answer. And like I've 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 made this statement already on this show more than once. I've already asked all the dumb questions. So, you know, that old phrase, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what Lorianne and I are here for. We want to help you get through this the easy way. I know there's times that it's going to be scary. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But if we can help you to ease that journey just a little, let's have fun with it and go on.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, desire and desires. It's a matter of who brings the question to the table. Is it your young adult that wants that desire? Or is it someone else that wants that desire for your young adult? Pay attention to how they say that to you, mom and dad, because that's going to determine how you want to relate to them, how you want to answer their questions. And hey, if they shoot a question to you, mom, that you just go, I got nothing. I got nothing. I have no clue what they're looking for there. Hey, go to the show notes. Show notes. Lorianne and I have our email addresses down there. Send that question to us.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out with you. We're here to help. Lorianne,
Great.
that's all I got today, hon.
Great conversation today. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the steps that they can take is ask those questions. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, don't ever be afraid to ask.
That's right. Or to get help.
Yeah.
Because there's anybody that you trust, to ask for a little bit of help.
Yeah.
So I want to end with just this story. There's one of our friends, and we got a message yesterday that she passed away. And I'm like shocked that she passed. But her whole thing in life was to help people. And she was probably in her later 70s. And so she's had an excellent, amazing, incredible life. But we got a text message this morning from one of the girls that works for my husband, and she's probably in her early 20s. And she sent a text message and said, "Did you hear that Anne passed away?" And my husband just said, "How did you know her?" Because we didn't even know. I mean, she knew that we knew Anne, but there was this, like, we had no idea that she knew. And she said, when I met her at the grocery store, and she just started talking to me. And as I shared some things with her, it was a really tough time that me and my twin were in our lives. And she asked us if we needed a place to stay. She was going to open her home to us. She got my phone number right then. She bought food for us. And I mean, this is just the kind of person Anne was. She said she texted me or called me every week. She helped my twin and I through something that we never could have dreamed of or imagined going through in our lives. And then when we weren't even sure where we were going to live, she offered for us to come live with her, and she didn't even know us. But that's the kind of person that she was. And so I just say, ask those questions, trust some people around you, and be able to let people help you.
Yeah.
And in this situation, these two twin girls let this older lady, who was very aware of, I guess she would be guided by her inner voice and her spirit, and
Yep.
she would reach out to people all the time. Whenever she make dinner, she would make it for a bunch of people, and it was just only her and her husband. So then she would just go around the neighborhood and find people to take dinner to and take food to. And I wanted to, as you started talking about this with desire today, I can just imagine Anne sitting here with us,
Mhm.
having this conversation with us,
Yeah,
and her greatness shining through, because the
absolutely.
only desire she ever had in life was truly to serve and make other people happy. Nobody even knew she had been in the hospital a week ago. I left a message on her answering machine just
Mm,
saying, I want to go to lunch with you. When I'm back in town, I want to go to lunch with you. And
mm,
I never heard from her. I had no idea that she was
mm,
in the hospital having an open heart surgery. And then she did fine through it, but then had some complications and passed away on Saturday. So
mm,
nobody ever knew what was going on with her. She always knew what was going on with everybody else. And that was her desire in her heart, was
mm,
always to serve and give and love
mm.
and create whatever she could for other
Yeah,
people. So
that's an angel
I'm
without
grateful.
wings.
That is an angel. I've been sending, lots of people have been texting and sending messages back and forth. And I just said, she
Absolutely.
definitely was an angel on earth.
Yes,
So
very.
find your
Mm,
angels, because they're there. They
yeah,
are right there around you, ready to do whatever you need.
yeah, very true. Very true.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for everyone that is on here listening to us. We appreciate that greatly. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down there, and then that little bell thing to make sure you get notified when we have a new show come out. We appreciate all of our listeners. Don't forget, if you have questions, put them in the comments or in our notes. We have our email addresses. Shoot us an email. We would be more than happy to answer your questions on air. Or if you don't want it on air, we'll just email you back an answer. And we don't have a problem with that either. We're here to help you. We're here to help your young adults. Um, you know, Lorianne has got years and years and years experience raising teens as well as working with them. Um, this is what we enjoy doing, folks. Um, I truly believe that God put me on this planet to help young adults. That's why I spent 32 years in the same career working with them. Um, but it's our pleasure to come to you every day with this. Um, so yeah, hit that subscribe button, share this video with your friends, tell them to subscribe to us, and we look forward to our next episode.
That's right. We'll see you soon.
Sounds great. Have a wonderful
Bye.
rest of your day, folks.